want to start this video by asking all of you a question, and that is, what would it take in the year 2024 or beyond to buy for $60 or $70 a copy of Oblivion? It has been an absolutely wild week for the folks at Bethesda Game Studios, and Bethesda Softworks is not just a single project, but almost every project has leaked due to the FTC court hearings and documents that got out that were not supposed to get out. And we're talking across all of their studios: Tango, id, Machine Games, Bethesda Game Studios. And while plans can and almost certainly have changed since when these documents were originally made, we do have a general roadmap of where Bethesda Softworks might be going, and two titles in particular stood out the most to fans, those being the likes of The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster and Fallout 3 Remastered. Finally, everybody, a remaster for Fallout 3, something we've been asking for, and every single year the rumor mill would start as we got around the time of E3, people saying, oh, it's a Fallout 3 remaster coming, there's a Fallout 3 remaster. Every single year, without question, it was one of those rumors that popped up, and now it actually seems like it's coming true. And I'll be honest, I'm admittedly more excited for the Fallout 3 remaster than the Oblivion, even though the Elder Scrolls franchise is truly my bread and butter, is my favorite of all time. But that's because of a little project going on that we know about, and even has a release window, called Skyblivion. How is it going, everybody? My name is DeMarco, and today we're diving into the Oblivion Remaster or Remake. It's really the first thing we got to address is, what exactly is it? What does Oblivion releasing in 2024, the earliest we would possibly see this come out, what does that look like? What does it need to be? What features need to be added, and what things need to be overhauled? And how does that compare against the already revealed and showcased Skyblivion mod that's doing a lot of incredible work? And of course, I don't have all the answers to all these questions. This is mainly to spark discussion. I want to hear what you guys think, what you guys are feeling about this Oblivion remaster. So be sure to keep that in mind. Leave your comments as we go throughout this video. But you look at some of the developer diaries and the updates that the Skyblivion team has released, and you think it's immaculate what this team of volunteers was able to do. And there have been many comments asking why Bethesda doesn't just officially support this team, the efforts that they're going through, and say, yep, we're gonna just kind of bring this in under our umbrella and you guys get all the credit, but we're gonna sort of release this to the public now. And that could be it. That could be the official development team, especially considering Bethesda's probably paying a third-party studio to offhand the remaster anyway, since the little game called Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are pretty much keeping Bethesda Game Studio proper their hands full. Unless it's true that Bethesda Austin is the one that's working on all this stuff, which is possible. We're not diving into that today. Before we dive really into the meat of today's discussion, there's a couple things that are important to get out of the way. First and foremost, this is not a battle between mod makers and Bethesda. Not only is Bethesda aware of this project, but they've even featured Skyblivion as one of their mod spotlights on the official Bethesda Game Studios blog. So it's not the war, it's not the battle that I know some people are going to want to position it as, the modders versus Bethesda, the corporation. That's not what's going on here. And as far as the mod possibly getting canceled or shut down by Bethesda officially, there's no need to worry on that either. An official quote from Kyle Rebel in an interview with IGN, he said, about the cease and desist, I can confidently say no. We have been in touch with Bethesda throughout the years, and they know exactly what we are doing, and more importantly, how to get in touch with me should they have any concerns. They even got my home address. Now, Bethesda, as mod friendly as they are, they do need to protect their legal intellectual properties, and we actually saw this with the Fallout Capital Wasteland project, where they were reusing the audio voice lines, and somehow that got them into legal trouble. It was about the way that they were implementing it, and Skyblivion has been able to circumnavigate this, but that was something that happened. It's important to note, though, that even in that case, Bethesda did not come after the Fallout Capital Wasteland project and say, you need to shut this down. The mod makers got in touch with Bethesda and said, hey, we want to make sure everything's clear here. And the Bethesda team said, actually, possibly not. And then it was the mod author's choice to say, all right, we gotta turn it down. I also do think it's worth highlighting in this interview, Kyle did say that this mod is coming regardless of whatever Bethesda's plans might be, but understandably it raised some concerns, I'm sure, internally. There's some questions that have to be raised about whether or not an official project will sort of quote-unquote destroy this Skyblivion mod. I don't think that's the case, and I'm going to explain why, but you do have an actual budget. The Skyblivion is done completely by volunteers. You have a faster timeline that it might get released before Skyblivion is able to come out. You have possibly better visuals, more availability where it will be playable most likely on Xbox Game Pass day one. You'll have it on the xCloud. You'll be able to play it on your phone, your Xbox, your console, versus the mod, which is only going to be for PC players. And then it also might have a more modernized feel than Skyrim, which, keep in mind, Skyblivion, as great as it is just a Skyrim mod. So it still plays gameplay. While there's some tweaks have been made and changes updated, for example, you're able to cast spells while you're still wielding a sword and shield the way you were able to in Oblivion. It still has that same sword swinging that you got, the same as Skyrim on that regard. But as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I am curious, even if it does release sooner, even if it has graphics with visual fidelity the level of Unreal 5, which in reality it'll probably run on the Creation Engine 2, so it would look more like Starfield, is that enough? And honestly, I don't think so. Assuming that this is just a remaster at the very definition of it, where it's updated visuals, maybe some tweaks to make it feel a bit more polished, think the likes of Mass Effect Legendary Edition, it will still face many of the problems that Oblivion had back in 2005. Problems that Skyblivion, despite using Skyrim as its base, are actively looking to improve. It's the combat in Oblivion, feeling like you're swinging a pool noodle. It's the same repeating dungeons throughout a lot of the game. It's the landscape being effectively the same no matter what region you are in Cyrodiil. Three things for me that a pure, unapologetic remaster will not be able to fix. Compare this to what the Skyblivion team is doing. Let's start off with the cities, for example. Skyblivion in development updates have shown cities like Leyawiin, and they still maintain the same feeling. They still maintain things like the architectural style, but they are monumentally improved. They're more lore accurate, closer to the original vision that the development teams had, since they referenced actual original concept art that was used before Oblivion was made, and then the final product was likely changed due to budget or time constraints or some other factor. The cities are one of my favorite examples to bring up, because even in a proper AAA developed, fully funded remaster of Oblivion, that's a detail I think can be completely overlooked, versus what this team of passionate volunteer mod makers are doing, where they are completely rebuilding everything from the ground up to the original vision that was in mind. And it's not just the cities, but it's the dungeons as well. Not one type of dungeon, all of them. The alien ruins, the forts, the caves, every single thing you can come across, completely built from the ground up. And it's using actual lore from the game in order to define how are we building these ruins, what might be here, why are they positioned the way they are, why do they have certain structures in certain rooms. It's all being consciously thought about. But it's not just the cities, and it's not just the dungeons, it's the weapons as well, but it's also the armors, and it's also the landscapes. And you can look even further to the Oblivion Gates. When you travel for the main quest and you go into the realms of Oblivion and explore to shut down the Oblivion Gates, all of them look the same, but again, Skyblivion doing what they can to completely overhaul that aspect. This is ultimately what I'm hoping that Bethesda themselves are doing in order to make the game incredible, or as great as it should be, and as Oblivion deserves to be, because it is such a special game for many of us. So ultimately, as I posed in the beginning of this video, my question to you is, what would it take? Let's assume that Bethesda officially is doing all these things. They're looking at the environments, they're reworking the combat, they're redoing the dungeons, the cities, all of it. What would it take for you to pay that $60 or $70 for an official remaster, versus what Skyblivion has already shown us that they are able to accomplish. Now, for me, as a massive fan of Oblivion, I look at both of these projects and I am filled with excitement. I think you can look at both of them. They can absolutely coexist. You can finish your playthrough on the official remaster, then go to the Skyblivion remaster of the game, and both of them are going to offer different experiences. I see this going one of two ways. Either Bethesda goes all in on the remake of Oblivion, redo it from the ground up, pull out all the stops, lest they get completely thrown under the bus by fans saying that the mod team made a better remake of Oblivion than the Bethesda team themselves, or they go forward with a pure, unapologetic remaster. They say, hey look, we brought Oblivion into the Creation Engine 2, we've tweaked the combat, the visuals look great, and other than that, it's the pure Oblivion experience that you've played in the past, and that would also be okay. So let me know your thoughts down below. Is it going to be a just pure remaster, or do you think Bethesda is actually changed their plans to do a remake of Oblivion? Excited to hear what you guys have to say about it, but as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. So long, everybody.